How's it going, guys? Welcome to Data with Dan. In today's video, I'm going to talk about why 7 years ago I quit college with one class left. Thank you guys for clicking on this video. This is going to be a little bit different style than my normal videos. In most of my videos on this channel, I talk about my data analyst journey and the world of data analysis and how I'm growing in it. But in today's video, I wanted to do some reflection and talk about a little bit about my journey. So in my previous video, how the Google certification course got me my first job, I talked about the fact that I had gone to college about 7 years ago and that I didn't graduate, but I didn't really talk about the details as to why I didn't graduate. I felt like I needed to give more of a detailed explanation for it because it was a lot of things that happened in a short period of time. So that's what this video is going to be about. So I'm going to take you way back to when I graduated high school. And out of high school, I actually got a ROTC scholarship, which basically is a scholarship to do Army officer training at certain colleges and universities around the country. I had grown up in a military family, and it was my dream to be an Army officer. So I was pretty hyped when I got a 4 year scholarship that was going to be able to pay for all my education and get me what I wanted, which was a career in the Army. Now, my whole life, I also was a very big math nerd. I really enjoyed problem solving. I really enjoyed mysteries and how to solve them. And it was always just something that I was very good at and very passionate about. I took AP statistics when I was a sophomore in high school. I took AP Calc 2. Like, I was really motivated and I felt really challenged by math. And so that was something that always gave me some satisfaction and fulfillment. So the combination of wanting to have an army career and my passion with math, I originally was trying to go to be a military intelligence officer. And for the first 2 years of my college experience, I was things were going pretty well. My studies were going well. Things with the army were going well. My training was doing well. I felt like I was developing as a leader. I felt like I was getting to a point where I could be a very good officer. Now, going into my junior year, one of the things that I wanted to work on was my physical fitness. I was always a very strong person. I always maxed out the physical fitness tests, push ups and the sit ups, but I was not a very solid runner. I really had not done anything more than, the high school 1 mile run. After 2 years, I realized that I was not up to the standard that I wanted to be a great leader. So I made it a point in between my sophomore year and my junior year, I was going to start a running program and really focus on developing that stage. And at first, I didn't really have too many issues, but starting in the winter semester of my junior year, I started getting a lot of pain in my legs and some numbness. And at first, I thought it was just from the increase of volume, the increase of intensity of my running. And so I just went to physical therapy, got some basic treatment, took a couple of weeks off of my legs of running at the higher volume, and I thought I was going to be fine. Um, Unfortunately, the pain didn't go away. In fact, it kept getting worse. And so for the next year, so the rest of my junior year and the beginning of my senior year, was a lot of extensive medical treatment. I The pain that I was feeling was sharp nerve pain, like to the point it felt like someone was taking a knife and stabbing me in my calves, my ankles, my toes. When we would do long runs at the end, I would just have to take my shoes off and just lay on the ground for 15, 20 minutes because the intensity of the pain was so much. And we really couldn't understand why, because outside of running, like just normal day activity, I wasn't having any pain. It was like a switch would flip, and so it was difficult to diagnose because I had every treatment on the book for my legs. I had, we did the typical ice, heat, stretch. Next stages were a little bit more like body work, so I did what's called scraping, which is when they take medical tools and try to break apart the muscle tissue to try to get healing from that. I did electric shock therapy, which basically is just, just running electric currents through the muscles to try to release any tension that's there. When treatment in my legs weren't working, the next assumption was that it was my lower back that was causing pain in the legs. So for those of you who don't know, like for the lower back, especially the L4, L5, L5S1 vertebra, the nerve endings that run through that part of the spine go down into your legs, which were where I was feeling my pain. And in high school, I had a herniated disc from a wrestling injury. And so we decided to do treatment on my back to see if that would take effect on my legs. So same thing. I had pretty extensive treatment. I had steroid injections into the back. I went through what's called traction, which is basically when they try to elongate the spine by basically pulling your upper torso and your legs apart and ever so slightly relieve the tension in between. Again, more electric shock therapy, heat, ice. We tried a lot of different treatments, and like I said, after about a year and a half, nothing was really working. And during that year and a half, it was difficult because I was still trying to maintain, my training with the army. I was going full time to school, trying to do well in my grades. And what was difficult was that I couldn't exercise. Because I couldn't exercise, I wasn't maintaining my body weight and the physical fitness that I needed. And it kind of started this chain event of I was stressed because I wasn't doing well with my physical fitness. I was stressed that, I wasn't going to be able to get well and to get the career that I wanted. And so I started worrying and stressing over about everything. And slowly, little by little, it just kind of started taking away a little bit of me. And to the point where I wasn't as focused in my classes. I started giving up in my physical fitness. I started really doubting that I was ever going to actually get this, whatever this medical issue was, fixed. And it really started taking a toll on me mentally. So then going into my last semester of college was when we finally figured out what it was. I got assigned a new physical therapist, and he had some previous work with sports medicine, and uh, he had he had seen what I had gone through in other patients before, and it was something called exertional compartment syndrome, which basically means that in the pressure compartments in my legs, there's supposed to be a certain amount of pressure. And what happens with people with this condition is there is, especially when there's force applied, the pressure becomes too much. So, more or less, without getting into too much detail, what was happening was the pressure was expanding in my legs to the point where it would crush my muscle tissue and my the blood running through my legs, and to the point where it was cutting off my blood circulation and pinching the nerves. And so I got tested for it, and it was my both my legs were in pretty bad shape. So they recommended that I have surgery on both of them immediately. And unfortunately, with that diagnosis, and unfortunately because of that, I was medically discharged out of the army because having a major operation of both legs is just it just doesn't coincide with what the army wants from the people that they're investing the type of money and time that into. So I finished off my last semester in college, and I still needed one summer course to complete graduation. And so my plan was to get my surgeries done over the summer, and instead of taking a summer course, I would just come back the next fall and take the last course that I needed. And I think it was just the 3 or 4 months of being bed just being laid up in bed recovering from surgery being drugged up on some pain meds to help with the recovery pain. Those next 3 or 4 months really took a big toll on me. I, had just lost my dream career. I was recovering from two major surgeries, one in each leg. I was unsure of where I wanted to go, what was next for me, what did I want to do with my life next. So that first week in my with my last course, I went in, just tried to put on a smile and be like, you know what, I'm just going to get through this and I'll figure it out at the end of the semester. And I sat down in that first class and it really shook me because I think that's when it all hit me, that because I was seeing the same people, the same professors, I was walking, the same course that I did, walking by the Army Training Center. It didn't hit me until I sat down in the class that it really was different, that it was over, and that, yeah, it's kind of hard to explain, but like that's when it hit me, and it just really overwhelmed me. I had this, I had no answers, and I felt like I wasn't going to get any answers anytime soon. And one of the things that other data analysts and other people that work in the mathematics field will tell you is it is a very, thought-provoking career. Your job is to solve problems. Your job is to analyze. So you're in your head, you are thinking and working with other people for a lot. And in that moment, at that time in my life, I wanted nothing more than to be out of my head, because all I could think about was the facts of what had just happened to me and what I was going through. So I walked out of that first class and I immediately withdrawed, and I told myself I just needed some time away, and I figured if it was meant to be, I would come back to it. And until then, I just wanted something to just keep my mind off of what was going on. So for me, a buddy of mine got me a job at a food service place, and it was just, kind of mindless work. You're just making food. You're just, you can just go in, do your thing, kind of keep to yourself, do the tasks that were assigned to you. And for me, that's what I needed at the time. Even as I progressed up through into management, I I liked it because I didn't. It felt natural to me. It felt like I could just go in and work. I didn't have to think too much. I didn't have to um, worry about all that much, to be honest. I did that for a lot of years, and I really did enjoy it at the time. It was good, honest work. I was making decent money, and it felt like, oh, maybe this happened for a reason. It kind of just felt natural, and it really wasn't until the about 2 years ago when I made it to a store manager level, and so I got to the point where I was making really very good money, and I realized that there I wasn't having the same satisfaction with my work. I was working, 55, 60 hours a week, and if you're doing what you love to do, work doesn't feel like work. You make the sacrifices that you want for the work, and I wasn't feeling that. I was resenting my work. I was resenting my job. So it really got me thinking about the fact that, you know, this isn't what I actually want to do. And so when I decided to step away and transition my career again, that's when I finally had, at that point in my life, through therapy, through things just working itself out, I finally had gone back to the point where I felt comfortable. Yeah, it was kind of weird. I remember talking to the head of my department, because they had concerns. They had reached out to me about when I'd first left, trying to get me back, but obviously mentally I was not a mindset to talk about what I was going through with them. And I remember sitting down with them and, just talking about what had gone on over the years, and it really felt good that they were understanding about it, and that they were just excited for me to come back and finish my degree and to start a career that I know I could actually be good in, something that I could be motivated and feel and get fulfillment from. So it was about 5 years in between me starting my last class in college and then actually completing it. And in those 5 years, it's a lot of highs, a lot of lows, some really bad lows. But I think I wouldn't, but I know that I wouldn't appreciate what I have now as a data analyst as much without having gone through what I did. I feel very thankful to be in the position that I am, where I now have a career that does give me fulfillment, that does bring me joy. It's not the dream that I have of being an Army officer, but honestly, it's a good close second. So I wanted to share my story just so that way people can understand that it doesn't always, go the way that you were hoping it would go. Things don't always just fall into place right away. It's okay to have struggles. It's okay to be at a low point. It's okay to not know what you want to do or to take a break. For some people, it all falls into place right away, and you go from point A to point B. Some people, it you go all over the place. Like I was not expecting myself. If you would ask me 10 years ago that I would have gone from being an Army cadet to being a food service store manager to back to being a data analyst, I would have called you crazy, honestly. But if we're being honest, life is crazy, and you just got to take it one day at a time, one step at a time. And I think the biggest thing that you got to do is always try to improve yourself, and you're not going to be able to do that every day. There are going to be times where you're going to struggle, and that's okay. I think that's the whole point of me talking about this story, is that I don't, I just want people to know that whatever you're going through, whatever struggle it is, that it can be okay. That just get the right help, take the time that you need, work through what you got to work through, and try to get back to where you want to be. And however long that takes, whatever you have to go through, just always keep in mind that there could be a positive outcome in the end. So yeah, guys, thank you for joining me for this video. I know it's a little bit different than the content that I normally make, but I felt like that this was a story that could really benefit some people out there. So thank you again for joining me. My name's Dan. I'm a data analyst. See you guys later.